How to deal with being a horny Christian. This may seem like a humorous title, but this is a serious topic I see a lot of people butchering, a lot of people getting wrong because they get some core fundamental concepts really wrong within the Christian view. The first thing you have to understand is that sex and sexual thoughts aren't inherently bad. Nothing is. Even Satan, who is the personification of evil, used to be an angel, Lucifer, right, who fell. And that's because when God created everything, everything was good. And through the will of his created beings, things got messed up. And that's basic Christian theology. And the way that pertains to sex is that God created sex as a way for a married man and a married woman to come together in love, in union, to bring forth new life. Right? That was the purpose of sex. But given how we have fallen so far, especially in the modern day, sex is basically bastardized. Okay, now sex is something glorified on TikTok. You go on TikTok, you scroll. Shouldn't be doing that. Scroll, you see some buns, and you go to Go Goon. That's like the story of most men nowadays. And this idea that sex is not inherently bad and sexual thoughts are inherently bad is the main key, the main thing I see missing in a lot of people when they try to stop being horny. Right? The goal is not to stop gooning. The goal is not to stop being horny necessarily. Your goal is to transform your mind around the ideas and concepts on those ideas, right? You don't just goon. You aren't just horny. These are signs of mental and spiritual problems that can be fixed, can be brought back to a proper form, because these issues are perversions. A perversion is something that was good but is now bad, right? So you're trying to take it back to its good states. So the way you do that is first by understanding energy. So I'll take a quick look here. Energy, right? And this is your soul energy, your psychic energy. Psychic as in psychological. Your day, every day you have a full bar of energy or a little bar of energy depending on how late you stayed up playing video games. Every time you do something, it takes a little bit of energy, right? Every time you think about something, every time you stress, so on and so forth, it takes energy. And once this thing gets to the bottom, down, bottom, then you go to sleep, or at least you feel sleepy. Maybe you drink some Mountain Dew, you'll be able to stay up longer. But this energy is how your mind is basically the money your mind uses to get things done. So let's say you want to go to the park. All right. You want to walk to the park. This energy is basically your money for your mind to be able to generate the energy in order to go there. And energy is more than just walking there. The energy is making the decision to do so, the decision of how long you're going to stay. All these little things. These are all uses of energy. And whenever you use energy, it creates some kind of feedback mechanism. Okay? As in, I've used my energy to do this thing, and now I want to do it again. Right? The mind naturally goes towards this type of thing. And how strong, let's put red, how strong this repeating is depends on your emotional stimulation during the activity. And also how much it conforms with your societal aims and what you want to be and whatnot, identity related things. But the main thing is emotion. So let's like a gambling addict. Someone's addicted to gambling. When they gamble, they feel rushed, like, oh my God, gambling. Oh my God, gamble. That is a high emotional state. Right? So high emotion. So when you're in a high emotional state, what does that do? That makes it stick. Let's draw this white splodge. That given the context of this video, that's kind of crazy to use this whatever. But pretend this is glue. All right, this is glue. Oh my God. See, you horny bastards. It's glue. It's not the other thing. All right, you got glue. All right, this glue, the emotion is like glue. This glue sticks to your psyche. More specifically, your mental plane. What is your mental plane? Your mental plane is basically just your thoughts and ideas passing through your mind. So a gambling addict doesn't just go to gamble. A gambling addict goes to gamble. It reinforces a pattern in his mind, in his soul. The high emotional state sticks to the mental plane. So throughout the day, he's thinking about gambling. That's where the urge to gamble comes from. So for a lot of you guys, we have to understand is that you do not have a gooning problem. You do not have being a horny problem. You have a mental plane problem. Your problem is in the mental plane. All right, because when you have these ideas of sex in your mind, your energy, because it's glued to your mental plane, goes to it out of habit. Okay, so really, what you're trying to do is you're trying to change this mental plane because you think this is an inherent problem with yourself. It's not. If I take you and I clone you and I change his mental plane, I take he's thinking about sex all the time. It's not completely crowding and invading his mind. He's not gonna have a horny problem. Okay, a lot of people say it's just biology. You're just like 17, so you're just horny. I mean, that's just how it is. No, okay, it's not. And the way to fix the problem is, but not only by fixing the mental plane. Well, it is fixing the mental plane. Just make it simple, right? It's fixing the mental plane, but fixing the mental plane entails controlling this, right? Energy, gaining control of it. You have to own the energy and you have to direct it. Right? This is what the Bible talks about when it says, control the heart and the mind, transform the heart and the mind. What is the heart? Emotion. It's what you feel. When you feel struggle, when you feel pain, you feel it in your heart. Mind, mental plane. You understand? This is where you have to transform through Christ in order to change. So you're not just going to stop gooning, you're going to transform your heart and mind through Christ, and it changes your mental plan and what you're focused on, so the sex moves out. You understand how that's so different when other people say? Other people just say, oh yeah, there's some gooning, like turn on a porn blocker. I have nothing against porn blockers, but you see how that misses the point. That misses the deeper spiritual void that has to be healed. You understand? So let's go into how to heal, how to deal with being a horny Christian. Now that we understand how energy works and we understand that, being sex, sexual thoughts, things related to sex aren't inherently bad, right? How do we deal with this? First, you have to own the energy. Because if you don't own energy, it's going to own you, right? You currently, right now, are in a habit pattern, right? You're in a pattern thinking about sex. Mental planes about sex. Mental planes about sex. Mental planes about gooning. Over and over and over again, right? That can only be fixed if you take that energy and say, you know what? I own this energy. This energy is mine, and I'm going to change something with it. This comes through a confessional period, right? The Bible talks about confessing your sins, right? What confession is admitting. It is owning up to shortcomings, owning up to what something is, So you need to, this is going to sound very scary, I know, after this video, of course, and after you watch all the videos on my channel, and after you subscribe and like and all that good stuff, is to turn off your computer, turn off your phone, get out a piece of paper, and get a little book, or you get a bigger book, whatever book, notebook, or just a random piece of paper, and really write out, when it comes to sex, when it comes to gooning, who are you really? Because a lot of you guys, truthfully, are kind of masquerading around. A lot of you guys masquerading around like, oh, well, I'm not a gooner. Like, gooning's bad. I'm not a gooner. I don't think about sex. I mean, that's bad. But then you do. Okay, so it's time to be real with yourself and real with, no, not with other people necessarily. I mean, you can be real with other people. That does help. But, if I say that, you're never going to do it. So, this is the baby step, if you will. And this baby step could be enough. All right. So, you need to write down, seriously, what do you really think about sex? What do you really think about gooning? And it's will feel really weird to write, but this is confessing. This is the pouring of yourself. All right. This is you being honest. When you're honest, you can then own it. When you're not honest, it becomes this very vague, mysterious idea. And it's kind of like, in those movies, they have like the little dog, but it casts this huge shadow. And everyone's so scared, like, oh my God, oh, the shadow is so huge. It's like a massive beast. And then someone who just has some balls, all right, a big pair of balls, like me. They peer over the corner and just see this little dog. And because of the lighting and the angle, it casts this huge shadow, but it's really just a little dog. That's what you have to deal with right now. Right now, you don't feel like writing out this whole idea about sex and gooning because you think it's wrong, you think it's weird and all this other stuff. And mostly because you're ashamed, right? It's really just shame. But that period, doing that, is essentially a confession. That's you being honest. And when it's all there, you realize, oh, well, now it's on paper. Now it's has physical form. It's not that big of a deal. I can manage this. I can deal with this. That's the first step. Right, you have to do a form of confession. That's how you own the energy. That's how you withdraw it back. Now, what you have to do is you have to purify it, because right now this energy is obviously directed towards something that's bad. Right? Your energy should not be directed to gooning to Sophie Rain or whatever. Is she even popular anymore? I don't know. Whatever girls, guys goon to, whatever. It's like, okay, this is a bad thing. And you don't feel like, oh my God, it's bad. Oh no. Because that reinforces actually. Because remember what I said, what reinforces an action is the emotional state tied to it. Right? The gambling addict gambles because he feels high emotion when he gambles. That associates high emotion with the action habit. Okay? When you go like, oh my God, oh, I can't do it, oh my God. That's high emotion, associated with a habit. You're going to keep doing it. Right? The guy who goes to the goon and goes like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I feel so bad. That's coming from a good place, but at the same time, that's going to reinforce it even more. So you need to know, okay, this is a bad thing. Don't feel like, but okay, this is a bad thing. Right? So what is the good thing? If you don't understand it's a bad thing, then what is the good thing? And that's where, well, I mean, all of this comes from scripture and biblical ideas, right? But this is where more explicitly the Bible and God comes in, because Jesus didn't come to destroy humanity, because humanity is not inherently bad. Humanity became bad through humanity, right? When God created humanity, right? There's that good essence, right? But of course, it's been perverted. So Jesus came to restore humanity to that good state. You realize how Jesus didn't come to destroy humanity. Jesus didn't just kill everyone and just make a new humanity. No. The gospel is not about destruction. The gospel is about healing, right? So through the gospel, through Christ, you heal the negative energy. The energy is directed towards the negative things, more precisely. So during this second stage, if you will, this is actually very similar to my concept of stages, just put into a very concise, specific format. This is where you begin to view, you understand, like, what is sex actually? What is sex meant to be? And a lot of you guys don't really understand on a deep level what sex is supposed to be. Maybe you heard from your Sunday school, maybe you heard from some Christian apologist on the internet that, sex is like meant for like married couples, and, it's like love or whatever the hell that means. And that's a lot of you guys. You're never gonna get anywhere thinking like that. Okay, a lot of you guys know the navigation through porn websites better than you know about biblical sex. And that's one of the key problems a lot of you guys have. So understand, sex is the fleshly union. All right, it's the vehicle of union between a man and a woman. Right? This is why Paul says if you bang a prostitute, you're gonna be union with a prostitute. So maybe don't do that. Beyond that, for a lot of other reasons. So the union, man and woman, that union is a representation of love. And love is a very important thing. Love is the greatest form of expression that a human can express. Right? And when we think of God, what is the biggest, most important property about God? Right? If you look at the Bible, they're all equal, technically speaking, but the one that's emphasized the most is love. The gospel is about, first and foremost, God's love towards his creation. So, by way of God being the grounding of love, God is love on a foundational level, we are able to love each other. This is why the two greatest commandments Jesus gave is, first, love the Lord thy your God, and two, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love is very important. So this union of man and woman, the sex is meant to be love. This is why people who are like, because a lot of these conservative people, a lot of these people who are trying to, go against this red pill idea of just having casual sex or whatever, they really miss the point of love. Because what do they say? They say, like, pleasuring a woman is gay. Sex is gay. Having sex, it's like gay. That's yucky. That's weird. These people are making an error almost as grave as the people who say have a bunch of sex. and gooning doesn't matter. Because they miss the beauty in sex. You know, if you get your Bible, there's literally a whole section, Songs of Solomon, where it's a bunch of sexual innuendos. Bible, that's God, because it says Jesus is the Word. The Bible is the Word. And it talks about it. So does that mean the Bible's like this weird, perverted book? Or do you just have a weird, perverted idea of sex? The problem is us. So, understand, sex is the highest expression of love that a married couple can give. Because this love is what leads to new life, right? Love creates life, right? Hatred creates destruction. You understand that dichotomy? So it's extremely important that you hold sex in high regard. That's why being a virgin, for multiple different reasons, until marriage is a great thing. And when you do get married, see sex is a very important thing, because it is. That's what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches be fruitful and multiply. How are you going to multiply? What does the Bible teach about, sex? It creates union. It's love. I mean, it's important to show love to your partner, right? Because ultimately, that's the glue for a fruitful, healthy relationship is love. And part of love is respect. So just because I've talked about women, how it's very important that they respect you, because even if they really like you and they care for you, they could still do things like cheat on you if they don't respect you. A part of love, a woman can't fully love a man if you don't respect them. And in some sense, it's true for men to women as well, but that would be a different form of respect. That would be like respect of of their dignity. Like if a woman's going out and whoring around, it's very hard for a man to fully love them. You understand? So that's the understanding of what sex is. It's love in the first part. And when you engage in these immoral actions of gooning, of lusting, whatever, like true lust, that not only separates you from God by way of sinning, but it also dilutes the concept of love. Because one day, or maybe even now, you're going to have a partner. And every moment you go goon, every moment you lust, every moment you do this stuff, that's going to dilute the love you're able to show for her. And that's really sad, like, honestly. That dilutes your ability to also love your neighbor. Because your concept of love within yourself is perverted, in some sense, to some degree. Like if you're gooning like 8 times a day and you're just it's crazy, right? Your concept of love is going to be more perverted than another person. Or if you're having a bunch of premarital sex, because gooning and premarital sex are on different levels. They're both expressions of a similar thing, but they're on different levels. Because when you goon, you're not having a fleshly union with anyone. It's digital. It's different. But when you're with another person, it is a union that dilutes your concept of love. Now, the great thing about love is that love is this amazing thing that is it's very large. So even if you have a perverted concept of love that eats away at like 2% of your concept of love, you're still going to have this amount of love. You're going to have a massive amount of love. All right. It's kind of like it's like love is like a cake the size of the earth. It's massive. Right. And when you dilute your concept of love and you do these bad things, it's like you're taking a few bites out of that cake. So you have less cake, but you still have a big cake, But it doesn't mean you should keep eating away at the cake. Because at a certain point, it does become noticeable. It does poison the cake. But that poison cake can be healed through Christ. You understand? So, with that understanding of what sex is supposed to be, what love is supposed to be, in that context, now you've uncovered the energy, you began to purify it by understanding what it's supposed to be, right? Through Christ, through the Christian view. Now, you need to be able to keep an inner stillness while maintaining the energy, right? Because the problem with a lot of you guys is you're a bit spurgy. You have low attention spans. You scroll on TikTok, you scroll on Instagram, you do all these different things. Context switch all the time, multitask, all these different things that are bad for you, okay? What they do is, they're not just bad because, it makes you less productive. That's true. But the biggest problem with it is it dilutes your spiritual ability to give true thought to something, because we understand your focus is like the laser beam in which your emotion, your heart, your mind, etc. passes through. So if you can't focus, you can't really love, you can't really think about something on a deep level. Okay? So focus is very important to have. And when you use TikTok, when you use these social platforms, I don't care if you're watching productive TikToks. Like, well, I watch Christian TikToks. You're going like this. New video. New video. New video. New there's some boobs. New video. New video. That's what it is. It's over and it's training your brain to think like this. Like that. All right? Truthfully, focus is not like that's not focus. Imagine using a laser beam and going like that. You're not going to do anything. But if you get a laser beam, go like that and really keep it there. You can burn through anything. That's what focus is. Understand? So I'm going to give you guys some spiritual exercises in this video in order to develop this. All right, it's not going to be all the spiritual exercises I could give you because some of them are directed at different things. I want this video to be very targeted. When I make my stages video, you're going to get everything in one video. Very long, very, very, very long video. But this is the skinny, right, for this specific topic. First exercise is the equanimity exercise. So basically, you're just going to sit, right? And this is training, we go to the gym to train our muscles. These spiritual exercises are training your spiritual capabilities, if you will, right? It's like, I don't want to use the word brain because it's soul, but, kind of like training your brain, if you will. So equanimity, you sit or you stand. I mean, sitting would be a lot easier. You put a timer on for a few minutes, and your goal is just to sit completely still. You may think that's really easy, but you're going to notice it's going to be kind of difficult. You're going to get an urge to I want to move my arm to scratch my belly. Can't do it. You don't I'm trying not to, but just relax. I feel like scratching my belly. Acknowledge it and let it pass. My nose itches. Just let it pass. I feel like blowing my nose. Just let it pass. Now, you don't want to be talking out loud. You want to be doing things mentally. I'm talking out loud because I have to communicate with you for the sake of the video. But that is really all the exercise is. You do that for a certain amount of time. And you move up in time. You start it with 30 seconds. Start with a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Anything over 5 is a little bit overkill. Once you get to the point where 5 is easy, just add more frequency. You do twice a day instead of once a day. This exercise allows you to develop inner stillness. And this inner stillness allows you to, because when you're going to focus, you're going to point that laser beam in order to direct your energy so you can change. What happens is oh, wait, I'm thinking about this thing. Oh, wait, I'm thinking about this other thing. Oh, wait, when you do this, you're able to develop the inner stillness and be able to see urges and observe over them. You're able to tune out the distractions and really stay focused on that. Understand? Second exercise. And for the sake of this video, I think this will be the last one. Now, this should come after equanimity, and this is focus towards something. Now, the easiest version of this is breath counting. So, and this is different because you see all these people talking about mindfulness meditation. These people are retarded, okay? They don't know what they're doing, right? They say mindfulness meditation's for, oh, well, it just makes you feel better. No, okay? And the way they do it's wrong, okay? This is the better version of it. Sit or stand. I guess you could stand. Sit and you simply breathe. That's one breath. In, out counts as 1. That's 2. Now you just want to count, and you may think that's really easy. But a lot of you guys are going to realize you forget the count at 8. If you forget the count, you have to restart. That's a very simple exercise as well. When you get different thoughts about different ideas, let them pass. Right? Don't be super focused on them, but also don't try denying them too much. Try and just relax, and keep the count as far as you can. Those are 2 exercises I'm going to give you guys for this video. Now, the point of these is to be able to develop this, right? And when you're able to develop this, the heart and the mind, which are transforming, could give towards an idea, and you can really start to transform that mental plane. And speaking of which, that's what we're going to get over here, right? So ultimately, none of this matters if you don't change your environment. Ultimately, you have issues with sex and gooning because you're constantly exposing yourself to material related to it. You understand? You're exposing yourself to material on TikTok, on Instagram Reels. You're exposing yourself to material on YouTube, so on and so forth, in conversations with people. You need to change your environment. So first of all, delete TikTok, delete Instagram. Maybe you could keep it just as to your friends and family's posts or stories, but don't cope. I do not cope. I don't want to hear any cope in the comments. Well, actually, I use TikTok for like important things. No, you don't. Well, maybe if you own a business. But don't come at me, well, I own a business, and you have like no followers, you haven't posted in 6 months. Okay, have some balls and be serious with yourself, okay? Same thing goes for Twitter. Twitter's not any better. All right, you do those things. That's going to make a big bonus. And beyond that, throughout the day, you want to have like a vision board. You want to have read the Bible, so on and so forth. You want things that direct your attention more towards God. That could be having a cross on your wall that you see. That could be reading the Bible more. That could be having a vision board. It could be having, and this goes to other kinds of the videos, but having a purpose that is rooted in God, right? So that could be, I'm making these videos because I feel like it's the way I serve God, by helping other people. I feel like that's my avenue, right? So, well, in this video, I talked about God a lot, but let's say I'm talking to someone about how to build muscle in the gym. To me, that's still serving God because ultimately the way I feel like I serve God is by helping other people, right? And is rooted in God, right? Now, that's another video topic on how to reach that, but that also helps as well. And over time, this mental plane, you're going to set your mind on these different things, and it's going to direct energy towards it. And the more focus you have, the more energy you direct towards it to make it bigger, right? To make it stick more glue. And as you do that more and more, it becomes more and more of a habit. Now, understand this does not happen in 5 seconds. All right, you watch this video is going to be about probably like 29 minutes long when it's all said and done. Maybe 28. I don't know how much more I have to talk. You're going to go through that. You're going to go like, this video is going to change everything. It's going to change in like 5 seconds. No, it's not. Okay, it's going to take time. It might take a lot of time. But I want you to think of this video not as this fixes everything. I want you guys to think of this, okay, this is a solution that I have to commit to and be consistent at. So if you need to rewatch the video, rewatch the video. If you want to ask me questions about the video and the things I talked about, join the Discord. But always remember, it is a process, and if you are trying, all right, not that don't count the days you haven't gooned. Okay, don't count that. That's putting your mental plane more of gooning. That's not good. Instead, always see it as, I'm trying, I'm giving a genuine effort, and that's what really matters. Because if you give a genuine effort, I promise you, no matter what you are doing, it will work eventually. That being said, like the video, subscribe, all that great stuff. I would appreciate it, and leave a comment, for the algorithm. Check out the Discord, join it. I post a bunch of free material over there that I can't post on YouTube. That being said, and you also access me. With that being said, see you next video.